So it's time for a quick little discussion about Naxx. My goal today is to make a 20-25 minute video that will allow you to kill some Naxx bosses if you've never done that before. This is called Naxx LITE. Really proud of how we have developed Naxx LITE over time, and it's something that anyone, if you're able to do BWL, you're going to be able to kill some Naxx bosses, get the chance for some bis Naxx loot without worrying too much about a ton. So at the start here, we pull this first pack far back to us. This first area here in Spiderwing, it's really scary. These ads, there's a patrol that walks around. We did this area totally wrong. These ads walked into us. Fortunately, we didn't pull the right pack at the same time, but the way that we handled that right there is totally wrong. So this whole area right here is just really poorly done. This is a good example of what not to do. Totally forgot about how this moon patrol, it goes back and forth kind of like a horseshoe and then goes into the Anub'Rekhan room almost, and then goes back and forth. The exact pattern doesn't matter much to Naxx LITE. Just understanding how this patrol can wipe groups is the main thing. Just treat it safely, and ideally maybe just AoE shout one group at a time, or when you know that it's walking towards you, then walk into it and AoE shout both packs at the same time. But in a Naxx LITE group, you don't have that much damage output. You don't need to have that much oomph and that much pump. And I don't really even expect people to have that many lip shouts for Naxx LITE. The idea of Naxx LITE is that you don't need many consumables, much coordination, much of anything, just some basic mechanics. So on these skitter packs, I never even usually AoE shout them when it's just one pack at a time. If it's two packs, that's when we AoE shout and we make calls to use engineer cooldowns and um, dynamite, all the mages blasting, things fall over. Lots of times in Naxx LITEs, you're going to have like 6 or 7 mages anyways, maybe. So you're not super picky. All the mages can really blast during that, but you just need to make sure that the AoE shouts are correctly done if you do them. The main thing that matters here is that we don't take our buffs out normally during the Naxx LITE portion of this. We had a kind of disaster on Patchwork. So sometimes Naxx LITEs happen because you have disasters in other wings. Sometimes Naxx LITEs happen because they're planned as Naxx LITEs. In this raid, we are hoping to kill Patchwork. We popped all our buffs for Patchwork and then we wiped. So because of that, we're now just going to go kill some of the easy bosses that we know we can kill without using any world buffs. So just getting back into this area here, I've talked about Spiderwing in more depth in my other spider discussion video, so feel free to check that out. The main thing to understand on these is that you just always, on the green packs, you have 2 separate groups, turn the spinners away. That's the main focus on these packs. This upcoming area here, this room is very dangerous, again with a skitter patrol. So if you don't know the patrol, just stay far back in this room and wait till the pack naturally comes to you. And again, we don't normally do AoE shots on these, we just kind of cleave them down, and casters are not supposed to go super crazy, and easy peasy, easy kills. This pack here is like the toughest pack. So Heigan just gets owned here, I think. Unfortunately, tanks need to be quickly taunting on these ads and facing them all away. On this path, it's a whole ton of spinners. Spinners do that AoE frontal cone. So very important you turn them away and you quickly kill the gray mob. On the gray mob, it's good to stay away from them if you're a caster because it's a cleave. So we have a lot of casters that are staying far away on this pack. The spinners do rip you in though, so it's a time that lots of time casters get owned from just some melee damage. So more skitter packs up here. Again, we just cleave and kind of chill on these packs. Don't go super crazy. You just hit 1 or 2 of them and it's safe. Looks like Mick maybe went ham here. So if all the warriors each just taunt one and just kind of chill, it's super easy. If 1 or 2 people go super crazy, then there's deaths. So this area here is a common tough point. We are social pulling the skitters, and when the skitters came, so did these green spiders. So we need to do an AoE shot at this point to control this, because there's just too many mobs. And right here, a lot of us get hit by poison, but fortunately there's two separate groups. So it looks like about 6 or 7 people got hit by poisons there. Very manageable compared to what could have been a wipe right here if it wasn't two separate groups properly. So did have a couple deaths to this little bit rushed pull, but because Waumbek and these other guys were separated and a clean separate group, the green spiders charged to the far, and world of difference. On Horde side, it's a lot less scary just because you have Poison Cleanse Totem that you would just instantly put down when that happens. But yeah, you just need to be ready to get rid of those poisons. So again, we're just cleaving these, but a mage goes to ham and dies. So on these packs, we just want all the tanks to each taunt one, and it's just easy. The question is, oh, why don't you use lip shots? Well, people often mess them up, and I would rather have just like 3 or 4 or 5 people at most that I really trust to do it 99% of the time, and then a couple of the other people that I really trust to do 99% of the time. They can do it if we have a really scary scenario. Sometimes there's just accidents that happen, and all of a sudden you need like 3 or 4 lip shots in a row. And I think saving it for those scary times is better than just the routine of Spiderwing as far as what more speedruns will do, where they'll have like 5 or 6 lip shots in a row. We have like only 2 or 3 that have been used so far. So another horseshoe patrol in this room with the skitterers. It's just very important to be safe on these packs. So the gray mobs do a knockback. All the casters are going to be at a far distance so they don't get hit by the gray mobs or black mobs. The cultists, those mobs, because of their knockback, they do a threat drop. So tanks are just continually taunting and controlling the cultists. We have the marks on the acolytes. That's for the kicks. That's not for the tank assignments. So just know that there's a little bit of disconnect with how things are marked on all these packs and what the assignments are. There isn't a set tank that's assigned to each one of these cultists. The goal is that as the cultists are coming in here, all of the melee are going to instantly be able to delete one of them. And then by the time there's 2 or 3 more, they're pretty easy to manage at that point. And once one is dead, then you're starting to kick the acolytes more. So let's just watch that here. We pull them far back so we don't get hit by the first AoE from the distance from these guys. So we're just controlling the cultists, and now all the DPS are focused on the acolytes. So again, look at the perfect setup here as far as all the tanks are bringing the cultists away, so all the melee aren't even getting knockbacked at all. It's all about having high uptime on these packs. If the casters are able to easily cleanse over and over, it's super simple. The problem here is the knockback just happened and a mage is in melee range. So Gom just falls over because all the knockback mobs just hit him at once. So on these packs, mages probably just want to stay at a farther distance and be ready to counterspell the acolytes when they get closer and just try and not contribute to the amount of damage this raid is taking. So while you're pulling these packs one at a time, you're managing where this patrol is. This skitter patrol wipes a lot of raid groups. It's like the #1 reason that people die in Spiderwing. So you see we pull it right here. We've killed 2 of the packs so far, and if this pack runs into the other pack, it will social pull it. So we always mark the first mob in these packs. First mob is marked, easy peasy. So rinse and repeat. Do this 4 or 5 more times and you're done. Some groups will pull these packs much farther back, and that's viable too to like split the mobs up more. It's the same basic idea. By us fighting a little bit closer to the packs, it's just a little bit more time saved. So this one gets a little rough. On this one, the cultists all get to the casters. So notice how all the casters are taking a much more damage. The melee aren't able to keep their health up as much. It's because we also had a cast go off. You want to make sure you kick the volley. Kicking the arcane explosion doesn't matter too much. It's all about making sure that not a single volley goes out. So just a couple unfortunate circumstances right there. Next pack's coming in, same idea. The tanks did a better job bringing the cultists away from the healers this time. Priests have it pretty easy where they can just pray or heal and not worry too much about line of sight issues. Paladins are a little bit more focused on making sure that they stay in line of sight. Having shadow protection from priests is pretty good here. This group doesn't have the shadow protection from priests, they're just using the Pally aura. Just know that doesn't stack with the priest one, so making sure that the entire raid has the priest shadow resistance is pretty worthwhile. Doesn't do a ton of difference, but it's just the combination of, I'm pretty sure that these knockbacks are also shadow based, as weird as that is. I think. I'm not going to look into that, so might be wrong in that detail actually. But anyways, now we're setting up for Faerlina. Faerlina is a really good practice time for your priests on Razuvious. Faerlina is just a little bit less pressure, where you're still pressing your mind control button, you're still using abilities, but it's not a result that is instantly going to potentially wipe the raid and kill a bunch of people, right? So on this boss, priests are able to mind control the square, the moon, the diamond, the triangle. They're going to make sure that when they're doing the mind control, they're not bringing it far away from the boss. That's the number one reason there's issues with the mind control, is it breaks because they run too far away. So it's really important that the main tank is paying attention to where the mind control priests are and working in synergy with those priests. Besides that, it's just moving out of line of fire and sacrificing every like 20-25 seconds, just watching the DBM debuff. And once the DBM timer says the embrace ends in like 5 seconds, then you just run the next one over and sacrifice it. So you instantly want to sacrifice the first one as soon as you can on this boss. Making sure that the first one is taken care of is important. So we're getting kind of owned here. Lots of poison damage is going out. That's not what you want. Now that it looks like one of the ads was exploded on the boss, much safer. And we're just kind of running it all over the place. Ideally, you're just not bringing the Rain of Fire on top of all the casters. Or sorry, you're not bringing the boss on top of all the casters. Because this magic debuff there, it reduces how much cast time you have. So you don't want to explode that where all the casters are. So that was kind of bad by me, where I'm just running this boss through all the casters when I have more separation there. But anyways, Naxx LITE is what it is. You just move forward, expect to have a couple deaths, and don't pause too much unless it's really, really vital to make sure that everyone's fully set. Through this trash here, now it's just one of the big gray mobs that needs to be killed quickly, and a bunch of decurse mobs. So just make sure that the tanks are decursed. You saw Waumbek was healing for like 200s there with his flash of heal. That's not good. Definitely want to make sure that curse is taken care of faster on tanks. That skitter pack that's right here, again, you can just cleave it down or AoE shout, up to you. So we're getting hit here by the cleave. Notice how much damage the raid suddenly takes? That's from this single Tomb Horror. So this Tomb Horror just absolutely destroyed the raid. It's really important we kill that Tomb Horror quickly. On these ghouls here, we just stun and disarm them. And the idea of Naxx LITE is not to be fancy. You never be fancy in Naxx LITE. In Naxx LITE, it's all about lawnmower mode. So here, we just kill things quickly. Good separation, looks like about 8 people hit by the poison, so actually not very good. So this was a poison issue. Notice how many people are all stacked right here. And after about 5-6 seconds being in combat, you got to be ready to have issues. So a whole ton of people all get poisoned. Poison goes out, and it was actually a double poison. Right when Skull dies, it charges, and the poison actually happened, it looks like. So the poison went out, and then a second poison. So really, really deadly. So yeah, again, we don't get super fancy, just one pack at a time. We do run in here, which is a little bit advanced. We've done this a couple times at this point. I would recommend maybe pulling the first gargoyle pack around the corner after you've killed the ghoul packs. Make sure that complete room is empty, and then pull the gargoyles back. Expect to get like 6 stacks. Here, even when we're running in, we're getting like 6 stacks. And again, that's not a very high level damage raid group. So what you're seeing here is definitely nothing impressive. We got 5 stacks from one set of gargoyles that we had like good uptime on. That's pretty low damage. So here we run for, this is a little dangerous. If you see where these 2 ghoul packs are, could have been a little scary for us. I'm talking a lot about Spider because Spider is the main part of Naxx LITE. Outside of this, not a whole ton. So we just cleave packs down, kill 1 pack at a time. Again, watch the Spider video if you want to see more on that. So Maexxna, in Naxx LITE, you need to expect 2 to 3 phases of this upcoming fight. So we're going to chisel down at the start. We're not going to use our DPS cooldowns until it's the enrage part. It's really important that everyone saves their DPS cooldowns for when it matters and doesn't try and get better uptime. It's just all about full blast. So we pulled the boss a little bit back towards us. By pulling the boss a little bit towards the raid, it makes it easier for the healers to heal both the tank and the people on the walls without having to move. It's all about having better caster uptime here. So notice how I pull this boss a little bit closer. That's something that you don't see in a lot of Maexxna kills. But again, this is designed so that we can deal with a couple phases of this. So getting people off walls, healing Blee. I almost die here, but I don't. So it's about, as a tank in multiple phases like this, you need to be able to survive. I am barely surviving here. I don't know. I think now I pop Stone Shield. I don't know if I didn't have Stone Shield on. That looks sketch. So we use DI tech here where we have one person that will slow stone and start healing again. So that makes a really big difference. Something we can talk more in depth about with this boss in particular. But at this point now we've hit the enrage and we have 15 seconds. So I feel like we're a little sloppy here. The timing of this was not great. With about half of the time we then push it to enrage. So we have 6 seconds here. We're trying to kill it in enough time and we just barely get it done. So within like 2 seconds before disaster, did have a couple people die. So it wasn't super clean. Could have timed that better. Should have stopped DPS earlier and just like chill for 20 seconds, but we get a kiss out of it. Of course we do. So yep, let's see who got the kiss. I'm actually so curious. Nabdrew, that's right. I thought so. So that's the main part. That's Spiderwing. That's your momentum once you get going. We've talked about these packs before, super simple packs. The problem with Naxx LITE is that Noth is going to be longer. Expect to decurse as top priority 2 to 3, 4 times. You need extra decurses just for safety in case a couple of people die during this length of this fight. Again, just doing 1 set of gargoyles each time. We're getting 6 stacks of gargoyles each time we're doing gargoyles. It's not great at all. So Noth, again, just a boss that tank and spank besides the mechanics of a threat drop and a decurse. And we know that we're going to have a teleport. We only kill this thing, what, 45, 55% before the teleport happens. So during the teleport, we're all kind of stacked together. Tanks are bringing the ads a little bit farther out away from the casters. And you just kill the ads. If you have problems with this, I don't really know what to say. You're not ready for Noth if you can't do this part. You just need to decurse and have tanks that can get some threat. So unfortunately we did have some deaths here at the end. Got a little bit sus, but we pulled it out. So again, Heigan's a fight where you're gonna have, well, first of all, if you ever have deaths in this suppression room in Naxx, you have to just go back to the start. Um, don't try and like res 4 or 5 people if there's a semi-wipe in this area. Just all run back to the start and do a little bit of a reset. This area is kind of tough. Make sure that everyone stays together and that you go into the room at the same time. You know that everyone is here. No one can be AFK or anything. Very important brain check time. So tank pulls it away from the platform. Everyone goes to the platform. Melee all need to know how to stand. I do a bad job here being too close to the casters, so mana burns happen, and a lot of people are taking damage right now. And we're just dragging it around. A couple people die in the tunnel. Once there's 6 people in the tunnel together, then you run together. And now we're going to be doing the dance. So I baited people here. This was a bad example of the dance. Oh, actually, yeah, so I start to go to 3 here. When you see just a couple seconds left on the teleport time, don't go to the next one. It's not going to happen. You have to go back to the start. So I baited a lot of people, but we kill it. You just have slow, consistent movement to each spot, but pretty fast at the same time. You can't be slow when I say that. It's fast, consistent movement. So that's Heigan. You don't need a full raid to kill Heigan. You can do it with like 15, 20 people left alive. As long as you have a couple healers on the tank always. So yeah, that's that fight. You don't attack, like no attempt on Lotheb unless you're super confident in your raid. You have a lot of world buffs. In this area here, we have a disaster. Let's see what goes wrong with this pull. So we are pulling the captains here. Captain dies. We go in on Skull X Square. I'm assuming that Square is going to own us. Square gets multiple casts of the volley is my guess. We all just got hit by the AoE damage, like the entire raid did. That was from Arcane Explosion and Blast Wave as well. Then Flame Strike happened. So these mobs really threw everything they had at us. They can have like different nature elemental abilities. Sometimes it's more frost based, sometimes fire. The fire is definitely more deadly. So yeah, we just get womboed and owned. Making sure the shade gets flipped around quickly is #1 priority. So often having like a feral druid or something reliable to charge in on square is good. But through this area, you just take it slow and safe. In Naxx LITE, we have a slower level of damage, so we always try and bring the X out. Unfortunately, this time X wasn't brought away before the spin happened. So people get caught in the spin here, and it's deadly. Rough time. So whenever spins are happening, you just gotta get out. Okay, we gotta see the, like, people just melt here. We also have a skeletal smith that does a slow. So everyone's getting feared on top of the spin, and it's just an absolute meat grinder in there. So we bring that smith away because that's a lot of AoE damage. We're controlling the little warriors that do a threat drop. Looks like there's some buffering, so GG on that. But through this area, it's just that same basic mechanic like I talked about. You kill Skull, you bring X farther to the side. Yeah, it looks like maybe my internet stopped, so I'm gonna talk for like another 20 seconds while hopefully we get restored order in the world. This is why I can't stream, my friends. I wish I could stream. Hopefully we'll have some sort of better infrastructure someday. Okay, now we're down to 10. Sorry, great production value, I know. Cool, we're back. So, just finishing up here, talking about Death Nightwing Razuvious. It's a fight where you want to have 2 priests that you really, really trust. Hopefully you trust them from your Faerlina adventures. But besides that, it's just going through this general area of killing these same mobs over and over. This patrol here is kind of deadly. Any mob that has movement in Death Nightwing, take it seriously, understand the patrols. This one's like a long line right here, so you just want to clear as much of this room as possible. Yeah, I'm definitely having internet issues, so I'm just kind of adjusting. It's good timing, really, though. I have about 5 minutes left in this timestamp, trying to be a little bit more efficient with my time. Again, watch the Death Knight video that I've already published in Death Knight Wing. Naxx LITE is no different in any way to the other strategies, besides just understanding that you have lower levels of damage and potential output and adjusting for that. So on this pack here, again, this is a really, really deadly one. We pull it far back. You don't want to pull anything else nearby. This is like the last super, super deadly area right here. So we're just getting owned, but we're Prayer of Healing. And when you expect incoming damage, if healers are able to know what's going to be coming, then they're able to react a lot better. So we had no deaths there because it looked like a ton of damage, and it was, but healers knew it was a ton of AoE damage, and they could prep for it. So we kill Skull and X, we bring away the other spinning mobs in Naxx LITE. In a higher DPS group, you would stack them, but here we're just adjusting. We get feared. Again, low levels of damage in this group. Lots of rogues, lots of mages, hunters, druids. So again, this pack is super, super deadly. We pull it back to us. All we care about is killing Skull as quick as possible. Normally we wouldn't pull it quite as far back as we would, but this is Naxx LITE. So in Naxx LITE, X is brought away and disarmed. Skull is killed quickly. And we didn't get feared, so that's great. We just stay away from the spin. Super easy and safe. And we move forward. So this patrol here we wait for. You don't want to fight this patrol at the same time. So we just wait for it to get to its end of its patrol here, pull it. And then we do this left pack first. You could do the right pack first. It doesn't really matter in this area. You just want to kill one of the packs and bring them a little bit back. In this one, there's Skull and X that do fears. So kind of likely you might get feared here. If everyone death wishes, this is a good time to death wish or Zerker Rage. But see how we got feared into the spin? That's super deadly. We got good RNG though where we didn't get feared into the other pack. If we did, then we would just adjust, right? You bring the fears a little bit more away from the casters, make sure the captains don't spin on people, and you just deal with the different adds that you have. Pretty manageable. And that's Naxx LITE. Through all this area, you definitely want to have higher armor. You don't want to have people all wearing their Lionheart helms, that kind of stuff. Down here, these ads need to be controlled the little warriors. That looks like to be the problem. So we kind of pulled 2 packs at once here, I think, as well. So we're getting a little bit owned by these ads. They can be hodged, but just need to taunt them and pick them up. And casters are just blasting them down, which is good. But yeah, getting kind of owned here. So we just recover. And that's Naxx LITE. Expect to have some deaths in this format. It's a lower bar to do this raid. Have the expectation that you're going in saying, we're only going to kill 6 bosses. Or, you know, if things went wrong, you wiped an A-bomb wing, you wiped on other stuff, just go ahead and do this basic stuff. Finish off Noth and then you're good. So this trash here hits really, really hard. Take this area super seriously. Ideally on these steeds on the side here, well, you're going to see us get owned by these, first of all. It's just a ton of damage. Some people would say you could bring one super far away. I don't really find that to be viable. Like, this is just rough. We have low damage, and you really see it on these packs. People could have better AoE heal maybe, using more defensives. A Shadow Pot would definitely have not caused most of these guys to die if they use that plus a Health Stone. So just thinking about how you can survive on those packs. But yeah, so these steeds, they hit really, really hard. They do a charge. So if you can kill one of them really fast, you instantly demo Curse of Weakness on them. Try and make sure that you're in extra tanky gear. Ideally, casters don't want to get hit by them. And that's really it. Razuvious, the nice thing about Razuvious, it's perfectly okay to be low DPS. All you need to do is have 2 priests that know how to play the game and 3, 4 warriors that can tank the ads in a spot for the priests where the priests are safe. That's really it. Have priests that are vocal and calling out what they're mind controlling and when and what they're taunting. But you don't always need to have 100% taunt uptime in Naxx LITE. You can just let the ad hit the boss as long as the ad is doing good damage on the boss. If you can give some different buffs to it on Alliance side, it makes it easier with things like Blessing of Might, whatever. Um, so think about what you're going to do to have an easier Razuvious from a lower DPS perspective. Just to show some different kill times here, we had a 2-minute Anub'Rekhan kill, so I don't think I showed the fight on Anub'Rekhan as far as how you have to run around. Expect that in Naxx LITE. I'll do a deeper dive into that later. But Naxx LITE is all about just doing the easy basic stuff. So having lower levels. Oh, this was actually full. This was much faster. Too fast. Okay, this is the one. Yeah, 2-minute Anub'Rekhan kill. So let's just see that again. Very slow Anub'Rekhan. So we do stack the ads on the boss. Some people will say not to do that, but you just pop cooldowns at the start and do as much damage to the ads, blast it down. And when Locust Swarm has about 15 seconds left, that's when you start dragging the boss back. So you bring it into position here. Locust Swarm happened instantly, so I need to use a speed pot and start running away. Or nifty stopwatch is good too. But expect for the tank to, they need to get themselves fast. People will do aspect of the pack and it's just not super reliable. All you care about is the healers making sure that the tank gets a couple heals while they're not getting silenced. Everyone needs to be max range from the boss. The boss does proximity AoE silence that does a ton of damage. So the off tank needs to bring the ad far away. So they bring it into the far corner, not near the boss, so no melee goes near the boss trying to zug. And you just all stay away. You get to this spot right here. Locust Swarm fades, and now you're all set. If you have a second time that you have to run around, that's when it gets really sketch. That's when you might need aspect of the pack, so you have a hunter that needs to be very aware of not getting hit by it. Or hopefully the tank has another second speed, so again you have swiftness and you're nifty. And I would recommend running like the same way counterclockwise backwards. Don't do the full circle. That's confusing. Just same exact thing of running backwards the same way, so that way healers know that they can just stay far to the side. Everyone just always has one safe side. Like this side to the left here is the safe side. And that's it. If people start dying on this boss, it does fall apart, so there's going to be times you're going to want to have people turn and kill these little ads. So having mages focus on them is good. Having one or two off tanks turn and taunt and control the ads a little bit is good. Simple. Try and not be too complex in Naxx LITE. That's what it's all about. But again, like almost 3-minute Razuvious kill, 5-minute Heigan kill. These are ugly, but we kill bosses, and this was the stepping stones to what you're seeing now, where we have consistent 70, 75-minute raids, and it's a lot of these same people. Once you learn these starting mechanics, you're golden. Everything just works from there. So, good luck out there.